Hey guys, welcome to a new series. In this series we are going to be creating a platforming game in Scratch. Okay, what you're going to want to start off with is deleting this cat. You're going to create a sprite, call it player, and then you're going to create a sprite and call it level. Now what you are going to do is convert to vector and make this a simple level for testing. Okay, now that we have our level, we are just going to name it 1. Now we are going to go to the scripts of this level and we are going to create a new variable and we are going to call this level. So this will be the level of our game. We are going to do when green flag is clicked. Forever, we are going to go to 0, 0, and we are going to switch to costume level. So if level is equal to 1, then it's going to switch to costume 1, and this makes us easily able to change levels based on the costumes. Now what we are going to do is create our player. So we are going to go into costumes and we are just going to create a box. One thing you want to make sure about this box is it's symmetrical on the y-axis. So I'll make, and you want to make sure that it's symmetrical. We are going to call this hitbox. Now what we are going to do is make some variables for the player only. We are going to go for the sprite only, y, velocity, and then we are going to make a new one called x, velocity. And then we are going to make one final one called slope, and this is going to allow us to go up slopes and stuff. So what we are going to do is events when green flag is clicked, forever, and we are going to make a block and call it platform. We are going to go add a number input. We are going to do jump height. Then we are going to add another number input and do gravity. Then another one. We are going to call it friction. Another running speed. And we are going to click run screen without refresh. So basically a purple block just means it's referencing this block. So we are going to put some values in here. We are going to go, so if you see here jump height, we want our jump height to be 12, our gravity to be -1, our friction to be 0.7, and then our running speed to be 2. Now what we are going to do is program the platforming script. So we are going to go if operators key right arrow or key D is clicked. So we are doing this so you can use arrows or WASD keys. We are going to change X velocity by running speed. So if you see here, the running speed is 2, so we're changing X velocity by 2, and that's how fast he's moving to the right. If we duplicate it and do left arrow and A, change X velocity by running speed times -1, which this means that it's going to be moving this way instead of this way, because anything times a negative number is opposite of itself. So 1 would be -1. Then we are going to do set X velocity to X velocity times friction. So what this will do is if you times any number by something in between 0 and 1, it will. For example, if I do 5 times 0.7, then it's going to equal 3.5, and this will mean our friction will slow down our X velocity. Now what we are going to do is if sensing touching level, repeat 8, and we are going to change slope by 1 and then change Y by 1. Then what we are going to do is go if sensing touching level. After that we are going to change Y by slope times -1. That means it will revert the changes, and then we will repeat absolute value or abs of X velocity, and we are going to change X by absolute value of x velocity times x velocity times -1. So basically what this equation does, for example, if there's a positive number in x velocity, it just makes it a 1. If there's a negative number, then it makes it -1. And what we're doing here is we don't need it to go more than the absolute value of x velocity, so we're just making it so that it can not lag. The change slope, we only want it to be able to go up slopes that are 8 pixels steep. So also what we are going to do is set slope to 0 here, change x after set x velocity, change x by x velocity. Repeat until slope is equal to 8 or not touching level. So we are going to do repeat 8 here and then put this here, so just replacing it. What we are actually going to do is change x by abs of x velocity divided by x velocity, not times. Also we are going to set x velocity to 0, do the ceiling of abs of x velocity, and then what we are going to do, if touching level, so as you can see we can go both ways and our guy collides into walls, but he still goes up slopes and it's lag free. Perfect. So now that we have all the x-based collisions, we want to get the y-based collisions. So what we are going to do is change y velocity by -1, and then we are going to change y by y velocity. Also, something we want to do is have our guy go to 0, 0 when the game starts and set his x velocity and y velocity to 0, so there's no problems. So what we are going to do is, if touching level, we are going to repeat abs of y velocity, and we are going to do ceiling of abs of y velocity, and we are going to just duplicate this, if touching level, and we are going to do change y by abs of y velocity divided by y velocity times -1. So this is just doing the same things. Then what we are going to do is set y velocity to 0. So what we actually want to do is make it so the y velocity doesn't change whether he's hitting the level or not. So we are going to do, if touching level, then we are going to put this here and put all of this inside here. That way the y velocity doesn't change by -1 if he's on the floor. Set the y velocity to 0 after we've done this. So if we play our game now, it's working perfectly. There's slope detection and you can run into walls. So this is exactly what we want it to be. Now what we want to add is jumping. We only want to jump if we are touching the ground, not the ceiling. So what we want to do is, if abs of y velocity divided by y velocity equals -1. So this means if the y velocity is negative, then he'll be able to jump. If not, then he won't be able to jump. And then what we are going to do is, and we are going to do key up arrow or key W is clicked. Then we are going to set y velocity to jump height. Now what we want to do is, we don't want to set y to 0 right after we set it to jump height, because as you can see, that would just nullify this. So we're going to do an if else statement instead, and then we are going to do this. So only if this doesn't happen does it set y velocity to 0. If we put that there, you can see our platforming script is now pretty much done, and it's smooth, it has slope detection, and it does not mess up at all. It's pixel perfect. Also, it doesn't lag because there is no infinite values in this script. Now what we are going to do is go into our player and set the rotation style to left and right. This is going to help when we are animating our guy, and we are going to when right arrow key is clicked, point in direction 90, and when left arrow is clicked, we are going to point in direction of -90. One final thing we are going to do is when green flag is clicked, we are going to set the level to 1. Thank you guys for watching. We now have a basic platforming script that we can add stuff onto, and it will be really easy to make levels for. I'll see you in the next Scratch tutorial. Peace.